Hello and welcome to Bottom Line. Well, the number of active COVID cases in the Northeast is decreasing by the day. While Manipur became a quote-unquote COVID-free state today, the number of active cases in Assam as we speak stands at 14. It was 34 to start. It was 34 a few days back. Now it has come down to 14 after as many as 19 patients were discharged after they fully recovered. One patient from Hailakandi, of course, couldn't succumb to the virus, but 14 is the figure of active cases that is in Assam now. As far as Nagaland is concerned, the lone case from the state is also almost cured and recovered. In Meghalaya, all the 10 active cases are in a stable condition. Tripura, while the first patient has already tested negative twice, the second has also tested negative once, and Mizoram too, the patient has tested negative. So active cases going down drastically. Things apparently look under control as far as the COVID-19 crisis in the region is concerned. But again, there is perhaps no room for complacency yet, because post the lockdown, as and when the lockdown ends, for now it stands at May 3rd, if interstate movement is allowed, that is when another challenge, the states will be confronted with another big challenge. But as of now, things seem pretty good. We'll discuss on this, for which I am being joined by Dr. Arun Kumar, Medical Superintendent RIMS from Imphal in the studios. I have Dr. Sangeeta Datta, psychiatrist. Dr. Sthapna Sharma of Guwahati Medical College Hospital will also join us shortly. Another topic that we will touch base on today during the course of a discussion in Bottom Line is the wildlife. The wildlife in at the receiving end in Northeast. We have had two incidents, one from Arunachal Pradesh, one from Nagaland. Arunachal, of course, a king cobra was killed. Similarly, wildlife also at the receiving end in Nagaland. For that, we'll be joined by Banu Haralu, conservationists and senior journalists will join us over the phone from Dimapur. We'll also be joined by Jayanta Kumar Das, wildlife activist from Assam, but that would be after the break. To start with the discussion, I'll go to Dr. Arun Kumar, Medical Superintendent RIMS. So first of all, Dr. Arun Kumar, congratulations. The second COVID patient in the state has also tested negative. So far, so good. But that doesn't mean that there can be any let-up in alertness. Government machinery has to be on full alert, I'm sure. Dr. Kumar.
Yeah, first of all, I would like to thank our team as well as your media, electronic media. And although our second case is now negative and COVID-free, but still we are not letting up our wholehearted efforts to contain this deadly COVID-19 and the virus that causing COVID-19. And we are still evolving our strategy. Now we are changing our strategy to contain this virus.
Now, Dr. Arun Kumar, we all know that there has been a lot of panic among people in the beginning when the first case was detected, and even now there's a lot of apprehension, even though Manipur is COVID-free. You have been observing a coronavirus patient for the last 14 days or more. What would you like to say to the common people, especially to beat the fear and stigma that COVID-19 is perhaps not as dangerous as it is thought to be, and it's curable? That's the message, and that should be highlighted, isn't it?
Okay, right. I beg to differ with you. COVID-19 is still dangerous, is still highly infectious, and the only way to stop this transmission is the social distancing or physical distancing, and stay at home and stay healthy. That will be the only one to prevent the spread of this deadly virus. On one side, it's true, but on the other side, we need to sort out our strategy with regard to continued lockdown. We have to. Once the government has stopped this, over this lockdown, then we have to plan our strategy, because RIMS Hospital OPD has been closed, and only the casualty is running. So we have to open up the OPD, we have to shift here and there, and the COVID patient, because most of the students from outside around approximately 30,000, they are coming in batch by batch. So we need to chalk out our own strategy how to contain this deadly virus.
Yes, we will come to more on that.
Coming days are, sleepless night will be there.
Yes, we will come to more on that in course of a discussion. I'm also being joined in the studios in Guwahati by Dr. Sthapna Sharma from the GMCH. Dr. Sharma, so far so good. Number of active cases in Assam has come down to 14. Can we relax a bit?
Yes, so that's very welcoming news for us that our graph is flattening. That's actually very appreciated. But then, in spite of all the measures that has been given now, a little bit of relaxation has been given, but that doesn't mean we come out in the open. We still need to keep ourselves locked down till the 3rd of May, follow all the rules and regulations that has been given to us by the authorities. Till then, it's only that a little bit of relaxation has been, that's actually a welcome news.
And Dr. Sharma, you also have been in the thick of action, yes. Being in GMCH, which of course was converted into a COVID hospital. Do you think all that immense planning that Assam did is finally paying dividends? Can we say that safely?
Yes, too much. In fact, we are getting much more in return. Everything was so well pre-planned. We were prepared for any adverse events that would have occurred. In fact, we are very well prepared now, and now everything was done in such a stepwise manner. Firstly, GMCH, then with all the 5 medical colleges, all the 6 medical colleges included. Then even the testing capacity, firstly it was limited to only 2 of the RMRCs and Guwahati Medical College, and then now almost every medical college has been included, and that is actually really paying off. We are being able to test more, we are being able to cure the people who has been admitted, and we are getting good results.
Great. Dr. Datta, when the first case came to Assam, and subsequently when the first case was reported from Guwahati, we could well witness that there was a sense of panic, yes, on the streets, in the state. Finally it is here. Finally it is here. Yes. But then very quickly, in the next 2 to 3 days, in a way things fell in place, and even though the numbers were increasing, and the numbers were increasing not by 1 but by 7 to 8 in one given day, that was the trend during those days, but still things were brought under control. And now as we speak, yes, today the number of active cases may be 14, but there was a time when there were 34 cases. Still, people no longer felt the heat. Again, that is a very mental thing. That is a very mental thing. That is a very psychological thing. Do you think the confidence building measures the government involved in the health department, the health minister himself involved himself in, definitely showed in the following days?
Absolutely. Because the government has done a huge job, I mean, it's actually hats off to the Assam state government and also to the Indian government because of how it has been able to tackle the problem of COVID-19 and lockdown, Because all of us by now, we have understood that lockdown and social distancing are the only 2 ways, or perhaps it's the only way, because lockdown is an extension of social distancing. So it is the only way to prevent the transmission of the virus, and we have been very effectively doing that and following that, though there have been sporadic incidents here and there. And that number 34, which we had for Assam a few days back, again, that could be logically connected to a particular religious event at Delhi. Perhaps had that not happened, again, the numbers wouldn't have been so high. So when you can understand logically as to what leads to what, then it is, the panic state decreases. It's usually in the dark, and when you don't know, when there is a fear of the unknown, we don't know how the numbers are rising, etc., then the panic rises. But in Assam, because of very, I would say, very timely action and very efficient services by the healthcare professionals and from people and by people from all walks of life. People have cooperated well. That's why we have been able to, control this crisis effectively. But again, there's no room for complacency, because we have to be careful. Short while back, I came to know that a lot of journalists in India have tested positive, which means that there could be over almost 53 of them. Yeah, 53. So which means that there could be a lot of asymptomatic carriers we don't know, we have not detected. We don't know what we are going to face in the coming few days. Let's hope for the best, but be prepared for the worst. And if we are very careful, if we follow lockdown well, and if we are not complacent at all, I'm sure this positive trend will continue, and we will head towards light.
Dr. Sharma, being at the GMCH, not just Assam, but probably the whole of region looks up to GMCH. We had the only COVID positive case of Nagaland being treated here at GMCH. Even now, the other northeast states, despite making all their preparations, they look up to Assam for #1 testing. If need be, they may also shift patients if the need arises. So, when the first case came, and of course that was in Silchar, the patient was taken to Silchar Medical College. Subsequently, we had cases from nearby districts and eventually in Guwahati. So at the very beginning, when the first cases had arrived here, because I'm asking this now because now I think we are pretty much in control of things. See, we have no control over the number of cases that may rise tomorrow, that may not. But yes, the way we function, we have control over that. So, were there a bit of a shaky nerves when things started? I mean, and that's normal. That's only normal.
Yes. Okay. So, to tell you very frankly, we were prepared to take any number of cases at that time. But when the first case came, it was, we were not shaky, but we were, when the first happens, whatever happens, that was the experience. And of course, we learned gradually from experiences. We took the case, we took him as a suspect, we tested, and finally admitted him as a case. And the Herculean task was that now we have a case, we do not know anything about his contacts. So the Herculean task for us was to go out into the community and trace his contacts. So that was, and immediately seal that area which had with all the contacts, and then again take the history. Of course, he was also a sick person, ringing him up, taking history from him all the time, and then finally his wife. But whatever, we finally got hold of the situation, and we were actually prepared for that.
But again, you were dealing with a virus, not much of about which was known till then. I mean, China may have information, but not a lot of information is coming out of the country, and the world is still struggling to even understand the nature of the virus fully. We are struggling to come up with a vaccine, medicine, plasma treatment. We are trying out a lot of things, but still yet to reach something final that can put an end to it. So, as a medical professional, as a frontline worker, and when I ask this question, it's not just towards you, but all the other fellow medical professionals who are currently involved in this battle and are, rendering this selfless sacrifice. So, when the first cases started coming, and you are fighting something of which you do not probably know much about. Yes, we know that these are the symptoms. This is how it, reacts. And these are the precautions we need to take, but still there's a fear of the unknown. Are the PPE kits good enough to prevent the virus from? So how, is that when you have to take that leap of faith, or is it an informed decision that yes, we are safe? Just asking from a layman's point of view.
That was actually a nice question to ask at this point of the time. Yes. So first thing is that when we were all prepared, we had taken experiences from China. We had then known what was happening to the rest of India, and we were happy that Assam had not a single case. And then suddenly we have 1, and that was almost like in an arithmetic progression. It was increasing. And when it comes to PPE, yes, I'll not say that we had abundance of PPE, but our leadership was taken so well. I would like to congratulate here our team leaders, our nodal officers, and our superintendent, our principal, sir, our superintendent, everyone. We it was put into our mind that we have to rationalize the use of everything. It was not that if I know that I'm not going into that area, I'm not visiting that area, I'll not unnecessarily use a PPE or a N95 and waste it, because my junior who will come next can use. So these things came into our mind unknowingly. And regarding the virus, yes, we do not know about the virulence of the virus even today. But we know now that we do not have a definite cure, but it is curable. And in fact, I was very happy that the doctor who had been first exposed to while she was taking the interview of the first case, she was today she had come out of quarantine, and the way she was being to tell you very frankly, she was I had sent her there, and when I had first asked her to go there, I was actually very sad, you know. I was a little, but then the way she fought it, not only she, all the team members who went, and they've come out of quarantine today. So these things will come and go, and we have to keep fighting. We know that as long as we take care of ourselves, nothing can happen to us.
Again, Dr. Datta, you know, a lot of people have said a lot of things about, say, clapping at 5 for 5 minutes, or lighting a candle, a diya at 9 for 9 minutes. But also, if we see it in context of Assam, yes, the authorities, the professionals are doing what they can. But what you probably needed at that time is also to build a positive atmosphere, you know, try and spread positive energy. And what we saw, especially in Assam, was that the health minister himself was working round the clock. 6 in the morning, he'll be somewhere, 11:45 at night, 1 o'clock at night, he's in a COVID hospital. He's in action, he's meeting patients, he's meeting those in quarantine facilities. So that also definitely may have lifted the morale of the entire frontline workers, be it the MS, the principals of medical colleges, the junior doctors, the senior doctors, the medical staff. And that was equally important, showing that we are together.
Yes, yes, indeed. Because I think what the Health Minister of Assam has been doing has been commendable, and trust me, he's a role model for all of us. Because when he goes personally to every hospital to discharge those patients who have recovered, it was not necessary. He could have sent anyone else, but he himself has visited them. He has actually motivated them to live normal lives after discharge. That itself is a very subtle message to remove stigma from the society, because there's a lot of stigma also, you know, we are talking about stigma too. So Health Minister himself, Dr. Himanta Biswa Sharma, has been a role model, he still is. And by what, if we follow his footsteps, like he has been talking about the precautions that he personally takes. I was just listening to some interview of his the other day, and he himself has been very careful, because anybody who works in this area, in this field, will have to be extra careful about everything, about, you know, all the respiratory etiquettes, about wearing a mask, about frequent hand washing, about maintaining social distancing, etc. And if we look at him properly, we will understand that it's, you know, one can be safe while one works like him. Exactly. You know, so people need not panic just like that, because it's very necessary to stay positive. It's very necessary to stay aware. It is very necessary to follow all the precautions, guidelines and protocols which have been prescribed by the government of India or by authorities. So it is only ignorance which can kill us or which can make us fall ill, because ignorance makes a person careless. Panic makes a person careless. So it's very necessary to maintain that positive state of mind, stay motivated, and again I repeat this, there's no room for complacency.
Absolutely.
It's just the first stage which is gone, and now, you know, we feel happy that, you know, so many people have recovered. Okay, so many people have been discharged, but we cannot be loose at all. We cannot be complacent at all, because if we want positive things to happen in the future, let's stay like this: cautious, alert, careful, and follow lockdown.
Well, if I can go back to Dr. Arun Kumar in Imphal. Dr. Arun Kumar, you mentioned how the next challenge would be when those stranded outside from the state come back. So what is the state's strategy in place for the 100 stranded outside when they come in? Are you suggesting a phase-wise entry, and how many people can the state handle at any given point of time? Well, this is going to be a challenge, but is the planning on?
Right. The government of Manipur, headed by the Chief Minister, is sitting right now, and the government will take the decision. But for our, at the RIMS level, hospital level, now, once they come, and we are also implementing our rapid antibody testing for migrant workers, because the criteria we have to go within the criteria given by the ICMR or the Ministry of Health, Government of India. So when the large influx of the migrants or within the containment zone, which we are having at the Lilong, the containment zone, we have to do it, and for those students who are coming batch by batch, say for example X number, say 1,000 number at one time is coming, then they have to be quarantined at a government institutional quarantine center, and we have to see whether continuous surveillance has to be there, and those persons having exhibiting signs and symptoms like fever or cough or respiratory difficulty, they will be subjected to COVID testing, and then what shall we do as per the guidelines which are already in circulation.
But again, Dr. Arun Kumar, it's not possible to put everyone on institutional quarantine. So as and when the students, the youths come in, a majority of them would have to be put in home quarantine. So that's where the awareness comes in. So do you think enough awareness is being created to prepare the state for the inflow as and when that happens?
Right. Home quarantine has got its own in our society, Manipuri society, but still, yes, it is possible to 50% of our social living standard. Home quarantine, to some extent, of the national health policy, say in the UK, what they said of the criteria for home quarantine, it's possible. And exactly if home quarantine is to be done, then what are the criteria to be observed? That is already in circulation. And for us, in the flu clinic of the RIMS, whatever patient coming in, and those who are advised home quarantine, we advise with a pamphlet that these are the do's, these are the don'ts. Like in that way, we can keep most of them in their respective homes as some sort of home quarantine. And but some needs to be kept in the institutional quarantine also, and that's what I'm telling.
Yes, definitely.
On the other side, the awareness level, but most of them are educated, and the awareness level about 2 months ago, and the awareness level as of today is a lot of senses are there. In the beginning, I myself, we were the doctors frontline, we were very afraid of this, but once we faced the real coronavirus patient, then our it is not as before.
Absolutely.
And, it's not as deadly.
Absolutely.
It is not as because we thought we are going to survive, and initially we thought our ray of hope was very thin. Now our ray of hope is now brighter.
So there's a confession, Dr. Sharma.
Yes.
There's a confession
He's been
from
very
a senior. Yeah, he's been very honest. So similar thoughts must have crossed, but good that it's a leap and then you are prepared.
We
You
are.
jump from a cliff and you're ready to fly. I mean, that's where it happens.
Yes, we flew already, and yes, and it's already the curve is flattening, but still we are in that stage where we cannot say that we do not know what will happen tomorrow. Whatever measures have been given by the authority, it's an humble request to everyone to follow those. Please, not to relax yourself. We need to have this lockdown, successfully have this lockdown so that we break the transmission.
Exactly.
Because the incubation period of the virus, initially we thought it was only 14 days, but then we have now suspects or cases who are coming who are showing incubation period of more than 14 days, and hence this lockdown. So it's very important that we follow this.
Also, as Dr. Arun Kumar just mentioned, the next big challenge would be when the thousands and lakhs of students, youths, migrant workers, professionals were outside now from the region. Assam has over 2 lakh of them who are waiting to come in post the lockdown. That's the next big challenge. How critical will that be?
He had already mentioned about segregating the group according to their history, a travel history, of quarantining some of them in the facilities and some at home. So here the health authorities have got to play a very important role, and more so by the Integrated Disease Surveillance Program, the IDSP whom we call, who have to keep track of whoever has been home quarantined. So in our area, in GMCH, what we do, each suspect, when we home quarantine, they come to us for screening, and after that, according to the history taken and the signs and symptoms shown, we quarantine them. So if we go for home quarantine, then immediately we inform the IDSP people, and they then start active surveillance. They go to that home, then they counsel them personally, and for the first 14 days, they'll personally go and counsel, and they'll keep track so that they are inside their home. And next 14 days, then the people have to be more responsible, the one who has been home quarantined, and they have to self-report in case of signs symptoms. So the responsibility in a way lies in IDSP, the health authorities, and also to the person himself, person concerned.
Absolutely. We'll have to take a very short break at this moment. Stay tuned. Welcome back. You're watching Bottom Line. We are discussing the reduced number of active cases in the Northeast and how there is no room for complacency. Well, in this section of the discussion, we also have two conservationists, wildlife activists will also be joining us in a short while to also discuss the two incidents that happened, one in Arunachal, one in Nagaland, where we have seen endangered species have been killed during this lockdown, and to discuss that I'll be joined by two conservationists. But before that, I'll go back to Dr. Arun Kumar in Imphal. Dr. Arun Kumar, also it is also important to acquire more rapid testing kits and PPEs as the state gears up to allow entry of students, youths, migrants post-lockdown. So are appropriate steps being taken in that regard?
Yes, exactly. The exact number I am unable to give you right now. Yesterday, the rapid test kit has already arrived to the Government of Manipur Medical Directorate store, and half of them they will give it to us, and half of them they will give it to Jenims, and now the rapid test will utilize the advantage of rapid testing. This is only a screening. We should, what we did, COVID testing was RT-PCR, but now is a, rapid antibody test. And once the screening is there, then we can classify as per the protocols given to us by the Ministry of Health, Government of India.
Yes, my last question to you, Dr. Arun Kumar. You have had a COVID patient in the hospital. Have the doctors and staff in hospital attending to the patient put in through the mandatory quarantine? And how have they responded? And is the quarantine period over? What's the update?
I don't have any information for others, for the government side, but it's above 200. But for our side, we kept 7 doctors on quarantine, and Safai Karmasari, one Safai Karmasari was also kept in the quarantine. That is the only figure I can put up. But whatever we put our duty doctors for COVID, 6 at one go, there are also kept presently in the allotted specified rooms, which they will do from there. And later on, they were about to go, but once the patient is now, they will take a decision and will submit a report to me whether they will go to quarantine or not.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Arun Kumar, for joining us. Thank you indeed. Dr. Sharma, again, initially on the 16th of March, Assam had less than 100 PPE kits. Now we have close to 150,000, reaching 2 lakhs, almost 2 lakhs. That is not the question. The question is, when we say, especially media reports that keep on coming out, and a lot of people also make comments that we don't have enough testing kits, we don't have enough PPEs. But again, what you mentioned is that whatever is required perhaps the health department is making provisions for that, and of course it's always good to have enough buffer stock. But when we say less PPE kits, we cannot have one for, and it is not even required, one for every doctor, every medical staff. Probably that's what is seen. Every 100 doctors, there is, say, 10 PPE kits. Probably that is how it needs to be used. And the same, even in the West, even in US, be it Germany, France, UK, again, if you see per doctor, even they are facing a shortage, if you see that way. So that is something also that must be realized before we say, you know, we are facing an acute shortage of PPE kits, rapid testing kits.
Yes. With every lockdown and factories being shut, we are not, in fact, it's a worldwide problem now. Whether it's the US or the UK or Assam or India, we cannot give one PPE kit to every doctor, but I had mentioned, used the term rationalize the use. So that is very important. ICMR has laid down conditions, standards, which PPE kit will contain, right from the laboratory technicians up to the patient being attended in the ICU. He has to be equipped with a different PPE kit, and the patient and the suspect, when he comes first and when his history has been taken, he has to be equipped with a different type of PPE. So we cannot demand or want the same PPE kit for all the doctors, because the ICMR has laid down rules, what type of protection we need at what level. In some areas, just a N95 mask, but it's true. When we are dealing with suspects, whether cases or suspects, N95 mask is a must, and a hand glove and an eyewear. That is the first level of protection which we give when the suspect first comes to us and a history has been taken. So as soon from there, when he goes to the medicine counterpart where he is going to be examined, they are given a different type of PPE. And when the laboratory sample has been taken, he is given, the laboratory technician is given a different type of PPE kit. Now we cannot demand, since we know that the supply is rationalized, so we from our side also have to learn what PPE kit to be used where. We cannot waste it. I mean, just 5 or 6 PPE kit by 5 doctors attending to one single case, no. If they should go in as a team, rationalize, use the team, stay there for 8 hours constantly and then come out. We have 5 or 6 PPE kit used in one duty shift. In that way, we can. I wouldn't say it's. I wouldn't say that we are having enough PPE kit. No, but then we should learn how to use it at this situation, because we cannot help it.
It's also logistically difficult to have enough, maybe in a country like India, especially at this point in time where the entire globe is facing the crisis. Well, I'm also being joined now by Mr. Jayanta Kumar Das, wildlife activist. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us. We have also had 2 cases, Mr. Das, one in Arunachal Pradesh where a king cobra was killed by some villagers, and similar cases coming out from Nagaland. Very sad, especially at this point in time. And why do you think these incidents keep on recurring time to time in the region? Mr. Das. Well, I think we have to fix the connection there. Can we go for a phono with Banu Haralu at the moment? Banu Haralu, if you can hear me, at a time when the entire globe is calling for an end to animal parts trade and closure of wet markets selling animal meat, what do you think should be the approach in northeast states where such practices are still found, even though far and few, but they are still there? Banu Haralu.
Yeah, I think at the heart of it all, these 2 unfortunate incidents that have come to light, I think it clearly reveals a great disconnect between a certain section of the community, the society, and the larger so-called educated group. I think it is a reflection of the educated society not reaching out also to the less privileged class, I would say. And it also points to an acute lack of awareness on all fronts. The Northeast is not the verdant green, romantic, place that it is being imagined to be. Contrary to this, the facts that face us glaringly is too real for us for us to fool ourselves, because all the number of we all know about the number of dams that are coming up, the extent of deforestation that has taken place in this whole Northeast, the exploitation now of corporates and contract laborers, and the introduction of so many un-indigenous, lack of a better word right now, species, monoculture, the oil plantations, palm oil plantations that are coming in very rapidly. So all these environmental changes and introduction of new horticultural products and so on. I think at the heart of it all, this goes to show that there is really a need for, yes, the community which is closest to living with the forest to instill a great sense of awareness. And I think we have a great opportunity here for educationists and for those who are interested in wildlife and conservation issues to channel this curiosity, this innate curiosity of people, the tribals of this region, the inhabitants of this region, to channel it into knowledge and observation for the greater and better good of humanity.
So do you also think that lack of livelihood opportunities have also contributed big time to the continuation of such practices that we are talking about, killing of wildlife in some areas? Do you think this is because of lack of livelihood opportunities to an extent?
I think, there are two ways to look at this lack of livelihood. I think it is not a lack of livelihood that we are faced with in this region. I think we lack imagination, we lack resource management, and I think our policies are not driven towards improving and encouraging the rural economy. And as long as we only look at big market, big economic returns, and don't concentrate on strengthening our small-scale industries, our artisan sectors, our local agricultural produce and marketing of the same, I think this livelihood issue will always challenge us. We need to get creative, we need to see what we can offer to the world, and we need to strengthen what are our strengths. We need to look at our strength areas and work on them.
Is it also that societies have retained such practices to an extent as a tradition and maybe do not completely want to part ways with them, and possibly that's where the government machinery, the conservationists and that you mentioned about need to come in and create awareness maybe?
It depends which way you want to look at it, because there's always this argument that's put out for, especially regard to hunting, as that tradition. Hunting is a tradition, but really, hunting is not a tradition in the sense that hunting can no longer be a tradition, because we have other means to substitute our protein needs. And if you really clearly look at the people who are hunting, I think hunting is more and more a sport rather than a means of survival. It is replacing lack of recreational opportunities, and also, like I said earlier, the lack of education, not enough exposure on what the ecosystem and how we are all linked into this great big weave that is woven around this planet of all life forms. Since we don't know where we stand, we don't know our role, and we keep breaking the chain of life by all these kind of random acts of hunting. And I think the need really is to reach out at all levels: schools, communities, village councils, government, colleges, everywhere. It has to become an overall consciousness.
Absolutely.
That we are a part of nature, not a part of nature.
Yes, yeah,
I think
absolutely.
it's
Very well
a much
put.
more deep, soul-searching role that challenges each one of us. And I think during this lockdown period, the good thing is that we're all observing how nature reinvents itself, how nature re-energizes itself, and we all have a great lesson to learn from this. And I sincerely hope that the individuals who have taken part in this, or who have, carried out these hunts, will be tracked down, and the law and the authorities.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Banu Haralu, for your perspective of this. Thank you so much for joining us on Bottom Line. Thank you indeed. We are also being joined by wildlife activist Jayanta Kumar Das. Mr. Das, again, two incidents that have come to fore, one from Arunachal, the other from Nagaland. Sad indeed. Why do these keep on recurring?
Good afternoon, everybody. It is nice to see you again. It is very unfortunate. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah, it is very unfortunate to see this thing is going on there, killing of wild animals, reptiles, and everything in the name of the so-called traditional hunting or lack of livelihood. Banu Haralu, madam, rightly said that it is not a question of alternate livelihood. There are two things in common going parallelly here in Northeast. All the Northeastern states we can see, that is, one, the killing of wild animals in the name of traditional hunting, and another is illegal wildlife trade. So sometimes we can see some connection between these two activities. But thing is that most people in the remote areas of Northeastern hill states, these messages never reach them. These messages never reach them by anybody, and particularly the carrying of viruses by some pangolins or bats, something like these animals. And first time we are learning this, that even after China and Vietnam banned this illegal wildlife trade. So in Assam or Arunachal Pradesh or in Nagaland, anywhere, all these states, this hunting has always been there. And you can see in Nagaland, particularly, so many Amur falcons have been killed, but now the situation has improved with creation of awareness also. But in Arunachal Pradesh also, there are some people, some boys and girls, educated, they are very much willing to join this conservation of wildlife. But they have been, they are helpless because nobody is giving them some encouragement properly. Nobody is highlighting their stories.
Do you think, Mr. Jayanta Das, do you think there has also been a certain laxity as far as the state forest departments are concerned? Because probably...
Exactly, madam. That's what I am going to tell you. So there are some good people also. I see in Arunachal Pradesh also last year, one of the boys gave me full details of how a full-grown tiger was killed and its meat was distributed. But they were forbidden, they were prohibited by the locals to take footage or photos or videos. But and there is no role, nothing role played by forest department. So I think the sense of security and reward. If these people are pointed out, if these people are picked up and given some training or motivation, they can be asset to our society. Whatever had happened in BTAD area, BTAD 4th district bordering Bhutan and Arunachal Pradesh, you know that earlier all this flora and fauna had been destroyed during Bodoland movement time. There was nothing left. All the tigers, rhinos, everything. Now situation has changed with the taking up change of the administration, and now the people who have been killing wild animals, now they are protecting them.
Absolutely, that is something which is required. more awareness is required. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Jayantadas, for joining us on Bottom Line. Dr. Datta, not a very pleasant sight, as we can see, and especially during these times when we are trying to reinvent our relation with nature. Not a very positive story there, but nevertheless, the suggestions given by Mr. Das can be implemented. Possibly, we need to divert this energy, this skill, you can also call it a skill and attention, and that's where the NGOs, conservationists need to play a bigger role maybe. It's very easy to blame the forest department, but then in states like Arunachal, where it's so remote, areas are so remote, it's not possible to reach everywhere.
Absolutely. I mean, both the panelists have made wonderful, I mean, they have spoken wonderfully about what needs to be done and what are the causes of these kind of behavior. Lack of awareness is one. Then, of course, I also see something else here, you know. I mean, when I was going through the videos in a short while back, I had seen the videos myself. So what I have seen is there is a section of people perhaps also who like to break norms, who like to break rules, who like to disregard rules also. Apart from they not having alternate recreational activities, apart from lack of livelihood, apart from cultural issues. Perhaps some of them people who say that this is party time for us for the next 7 days, I see a kind of pleasure, pleasure-seeking behavior, hedonic pleasure. We talk about those things also. So perhaps, they have not only broken the rules and regulations so far as hunting or killing of wild animals is concerned, they have even broken the norms of the rules and regulations related to following social distancing and lockdown. If you look at the videos properly.
Absolutely, that's a bigger point
also. We cannot rule this out completely, that some of them are actually not going against rules and regulations, and they like to do that. Okay, apart from every other point that has been made. And since I've talked about lockdown, can I just talk about something which is of concern?
Yes, quickly.
Post-lockdown, we are talking about those people who have been stranded outside the state, they'll be brought back, etc. And the doctor from Imphal, from RIMS, he has talked about home quarantine also, right? And not everybody can be in institutional quarantine. But here, apart from generating awareness, people have to be aware, but the sense of social responsibility has to be built, because here we get to hear and see incidents where the police is after some people who are breaking rules. But how is the police supposed to control people who are doing such things, not maintaining social distancing in their own residences? Because people who come from outside the state, they might not only be infected or whatever, they might even put other people in their families at risk. And again, we might have to go through the same, high-risk situations that we have been through.
Absolutely. So it's a violation
be it wildlife or be it COVID-19.
One is a lockdown violation, clearly, and the second is the crime that they've committed. Just digressing a bit, because I'm running out of time, Dr. Sharma, my last question to you. Despite being frontline workers, doctors, medics, nurses, ambulance drivers, everybody has been, unfortunately, at the receiving end also, and such instances have been reported from the region as well. What is your message to such people? Very quickly.
I would just like to say that everyone is trying their best. Ultimately, we have to save humanity, lives as well as humanity. So everyone is trying their best to fight this pandemic, and no shortage of efforts. People has been quite generous this time to doctors especially. We had been actually well appreciated, not only doctors, all the healthcare professionals, and we just hope this continues, and our efforts, all our efforts, everyone, right from the policemen up to the, the cleaners, they are very important part. Yes, everyone is appreciated. So I hope this continues and the effort continues.
It's an united battle.
Live and let live.
Thank you. It's a united battle. We have to fight it together. Thank you so much, Dr. Stapna Sharma. Thank you so much, Dr. Sangeeta Datta. We leave you with this this video made available by the Health Ministry from AIIMS. Have a look.
Coronavirus has caused COVID-19, which is a viral infection which started late last year and has now become a pandemic. However, this has also created unprecedented issues which are unfounded and mainly driven by fear rather than actual scientific facts.
News and reports have also started coming that people have started becoming afraid of doctors in this time, for the fear that the doctors and the frontline workers who have pledged their life for this COVID infection, they themselves might be furthering the infection. All medical professionals who are on active COVID duty, they take very strong precautions. It takes more than half an hour for a doctor to remove all the protective gear a medical professional uses while managing a COVID patient. So by the time a doctor comes out of an active duty into the community, the chances of infection from a medical healthcare professional is nil. Therefore, the reaction of trying to throw doctors out of the house is coming primarily from our fear.
It has been seen that those who have or may have COVID-19 are being shamed publicly. When this disease does not discriminate, then why should we? Most of COVID-19 disease patients will get cured and return safely to their homes within 2 weeks. The individual discharged from healthcare facilities should be welcomed and not seen as a threat. In fact, they are one of our frontline warriors who have successfully defeated this disease. They are the ones who now have immunity against this disease. They are the ones who will play an important role in controlling this disease and prevent future epidemic through herd immunity. COVID-19 has taken lives, but let's not allow it to take away our humanity. Let's fight the disease and not the diseased. As a member of civilized society, it's our responsibility to help fellow citizens in their hour of need. So stop stigmatizing and start empathizing.
Together and united, we will beat this virus. Let us not shun the doctors. Let us help the medical healthcare professionals to beat this illness. And united, we will win.
I think it's important to understand that people who are working are actually the COVID warriors who are actually putting their life at stake and are therefore those individuals who need to be appreciated, cheered, and also be given more care by society rather than being stigmatized. They are not infectious, they take proper care because they also are aware that they will go to their near and dear ones and they don't spread the disease in the communities. So let's be positive about COVID-19, and if society has a positive attitude towards healthcare workers, towards patients, I'm sure we will win this war against this pandemic of COVID-19.